fans back again. Let's talk about Comcast. I'm not with them no more, but I see they're having some problems with internet subscribers and all sorts of things they're doing right now. So they're trying to get away from the cable TV. I see. Lost 322,000 subscribers, or I don't know, what do you want to, people who had them, like that. And they fled because they don't want to pay $150 a month for cable TV. And cable TV was expensive. I had a lot with them. I had 4 DVR boxes. We had everything they had, including internet and all that. And it's expensive. It could be a lot of money per month. So I turned all that in about, I think it was 2011. I got rid of the internet in 2024. So, and their cell phone, Xfinity Mobile. I see a lot of people running for the mobile Xfinity Mobile. I didn't like it. I really didn't use it, so it wasn't that big of a deal. I mean, they gave you an opportunity to, you could travel all over the place or call on the phone any countries for dirt cheap with them, but they were using Verizon. So they don't really run the company because Verizon is the backbone. But you're not on the top tier. I don't know. They probably have it like that because you have Verizon, AT, and T-Mobile, and those. And then they split out little companies around. Everybody's grabbing those towers if there's any towers around. But that's it. So the thing is now. So they're just focusing on Xfinity Mobile, right? And the internet still. They're still holding on to the internet. Those people want to get their cable TV. So a lot of you are into the cable, and it's hard for you to get off the cable internet, in the coaxial, I should say. But did you know every box could connect at 5,000 gig, 5 gig, 5 gig, yeah. But their backbone can't handle it. They can't give everybody that. The way the whole infrastructure is, it just can't work the way you think it can. And that's how the legacy numbers, like back when we had the dial-up, and then we had the DSL, and you know how that's how AT&T was back then with the dial-up and the DSL. the DSL replaced the dial-up. The speeds were like 1.5 megabytes. No gig there, And when finally when the gig started to kick in, I had AT&T, I had SBC, Yahoo, TSL, and then AT&T took over that company. I had going backwards in time. It's kind of hard. Which ones I had, but a lot of the companies are gone. And then when Comcast came in and took over everything, then with them, you could have Comcast in the south and Comcast in the north, and it doesn't matter as long as you're connected to them, right? But AT&T had broadband, and that was the DSL, and I had that for quite some time. I had AT&T cell phones too, so I was into the ecosystem, as you can say. But then I went 100% into the Comcast ecosystem. Oh, I also had Cox Communications too. That was fun to play with them because they allow you to. With them, I think I went to 50 megabits to 100 megabits, a little over 100. I had a neat system. I had them come to the house that I was staying at. I had no cable connection or nothing. They had to get the bucket truck out and then drop the line from the main, because up where I was, the lines are on a pole, like a wood pole, shaped like a pole, like it's up in the air, and they tap into the line and run a new drop to the house. Learn a lot about that. It was pretty exciting. They had one truck come out and a whole bunch of guys, and they run it to the house, and they rewired the whole house for me and charged me for it. I wanted everything in the basement because I built a network closet, and everything went into the basement, and then everything went up through the house. So every part of the house had a connection. We had a cabinet mount for the flat TV at the time, and we had a digital box from Cox up there. It was a pretty neat system I had. Yeah, and then we had a Girl Friday laptop. It was like a Texas Instrument used to make laptops, if you didn't know. And Texas Instrument is an American company. It was, I guess it was based out in Texas because it's in Texas, right? So, and that had built a caller ID and had a phone jack. Just plug it in, and everything. Anytime anybody called, it would go through that. And there was a guy who made, I'm not plugging him, but I think it's Soft Tray, I think him, Arthur, kept him close with contact with him, and he had an idea. So the laptop, I use a laptop, because you want something that had battery backup in case it shuts down, would intercept every phone call came in from the landline. Yeah. So that's it. Landline is the way everybody used to do it. You know, you had a phone and then landline. Some of you still have it. I think that's been phased out, just like the payphone is phased out. You don't need payphone. You have your cell phone to do everything now. So this is strictly gone into that. Or a satellite phone too. Yeah, they still have that. They have satellite and cell towers planted all over the place, and that covers everything if they if they can do it. But anyway, what I'm saying is this: so now they'll stick with they get rid of the cable TV, and then they stick with the internet, and they still do internet streaming services. You know, they had the flex box. I had the flex box. I never used it. They keep on asking me, "Hey, we know you had the flex box, but it was free to me. I had everything they had. I was a Diamond member, so I had everything I had. I even had the Peacock channel for free with no ads, premium. I don't have it anymore because when you cancel their service for the internet, you know, everything goes with it too. It was hard to break away. I see a lot of people had a lot of time. Well, Comcast don't want you to leave. They want you to stay. But how can you stay if you want to leave? So what I did is, instead of doing the thing on the phone, I tried on the phone, can't work. I go right down to one of the Xfinity stores, and I said, "Hey, I've been with you for a lot of years." That's what I'm saying. It's a long time, and they know it because their system shows. So I try to break away, you know, and then at the time we had T-Mobile and then fiber. They both T-Mobile and fiber, AT&T fiber. They have these plans where if you break away, they will pay the rest of the bill. Mine wasn't bad; it was just $40. I was lucky. Some people have to pay more than that to break away from Comcast. But breaking away took a long time. A lot of emails back and forth, until I had to, I had to get somebody inside to break away, make sure. Because they kept on thinking I'm coming back. No, I'm not coming back. And you make sure you disconnect that box out there because they think you're still using it. But now it's, you know, severed, hopefully. But it's a pain. It's a lot of money for cable. Now, for internet, the speeds were never like they promised. And you all know that. They cap all the modems at 940 megabytes. That's it. 1.5, 940. Everything's 1.4. I had a guy from Comcast Business come in here to check my lines, to redo everything. And that's what he said. No matter what you got, it was 940 megabytes. And he was right. It was 940. But when you go into the router, it might say 600 megabytes. Because as we know, 1,000 megabytes is equivalent to 600 megabytes. And that's the way they have it. That's the way everything's been done. And I work as network engineer and network technician, and I work throughout the whole corporate America business as an IT tech, you know, contractor, sometimes W-2. But the whole thing is this. The way I was explained to me that 10 megabytes was equivalent to 6 megabytes, and 100 megabytes was equivalent to 60 megabytes, and 1,000 was equivalent to 600 megabytes. But you're saying, gee, we got fiber and we're getting higher than that. Well, fiber is a lot different from cable TV. So cable TV upload speeds, the most I could ever get from them, the max from Comcast, Xfinity, whatever you want to call them, was 40, sometimes 42. But from the box outside, the guy came from business. I said, "What does your meter say?" Well, here it's saying they take five. The way he was explaining, because he asked them, so 5,000 comes into for 4 houses, and they split it up. So it's 1.8 gig. Then you say, wait a minute, you got 1.8 gig, and you're paying for what? 1.2 gig, right? So when the 1.8 gig reaches the box outside that they have, there's not much in the box. This orange coaxial hooked up to a lead, and that's it. There's no TV. I took all that stuff out. Yeah, I took it out. Yeah. Because I want to get the best connection. When they have it split up like that, forget about it. It degrades. That's where it's cheap. I'm not getting the speeds. Well, that's one of the reasons. So direct feed straight to the modem. But no matter what I can do, even I own my own modem, it was always 940 megabytes. Yeah. So it went to 1.8 out in the box on the ground. To the other box, 1.4. Then by the time it got into the house, that's where it dropped. So upload speeds, they can guarantee upload speeds of 40, but they can't guarantee that 1.2. That 1.2 is really 725 megabytes. That's all it comes down to. I gave you the math already. So that's what you get. But I noticed on the computers that were wired into the system, because I had a business router. It's VLAN, dual WAN. So that means you can hook up two different services to that business route, and that ran. Then it had best security. Okay, then it had a business VLAN, which is virtual LAN, right? Virtual LAN, and maybe 2 or 3 layer security level. So we have that. And so with the VLAN switch, both the router and the switch are managed. Managed means that you can go in there and change the port speeds. Yeah. Because by default, they're set to auto negotiate. So your PC is auto negotiate, but the PC, you can change that speed if it shows up on the list. A lot of them don't want you to touch that. So it might just say 10, 100, and never say 1000. But the system will show 1000. So you can't, so you got to leave it in auto. So it's auto on the PC. Should you change the speed on the managed router? No. So you leave it on auto, because what's to be the point? You're forcing the system to run at 1 gig. But if 940 is only coming in, you're not going to get the real speed. That's for internal. Remember, you have 2 internets. You have internal, okay? If you have a switch and you have the router, you have an internal network. Those used to be called extranet. So extranet is what it used to be called, the internal network. You had internet, extranet, okay? So extranet is the internal, your internal house. You can have your own web server for your house. Your kids can get on there and, you know, and say, Mom is making this for dinner. Or, you know, you can chat between the house rooms, you know, wherever you have it, you know, computer. You could do a lot with the internal internet in your house. So yeah, so it's not just using Facebook or their messaging system. You can use your internal house system. You really can get creative too. You can have you can control your own it's used to call home theater box, home theater PC box. So way back, I'm going to go back. There was a company called Hackenposh out of Hackenposh. It's beginning with an H. I can never get that. It's Long Island. It's a company there. They made these PVR cards, PCI cards. Okay, and each card could record. A tuner card. They can record. Okay. They had some that can record more than maybe 4 different things, but I had 4 of their cards put into a tower PC with enough RAM and enough it was 4 quad core, 4 cores. Okay, and that computer could be hooked up directly to the TV at the time, you know, 1080p, and you could watch what you record, because Microsoft had the Microsoft Media Center system. Why do you forget that? We had that. The only problem with that, you couldn't, now the tuner and Microsoft software to get the TV channels, you had to use third party. So somebody came up with that. You didn't have to pay for that, and you could get the channels for your area. And if you got the channels, so you could just record. But you can only record through Microsoft. Microsoft saved those files as Windows media files. So it was a WMV file, and that's how those. And then they were like encrypted, so you can only use it on a PC to watch it back, and you could send that signal from the computer, so you have Windows Microsoft Media Center on your TV, and you watch the movies and stuff through that. It was a nice little system that you could hook it up to the antenna system if you had that, and watch local TV and watch. So you should be able to record 4 different channels at the same time and watch local TV. Okay, so that's how that worked. until Microsoft got rid of Media Center. Now, another way to do that was Home Run. Home Run had these little black boxes. It had 2 tuners built in, so you feed one coaxial, it'll split into 2. So you have 2. You can record 2. So each box is 2. Okay, it's a network box. It was a 10100, not 1 gig. The other one too, same thing, 10100, no gig. To get the gig, we had to, add it to it eventually. But everything was 10100. So 10 is 6. The 100 is 60. So 60 megabytes traveling. Well, we didn't have no whole big large files. Everything was kind of smaller, but the quality was good. Okay. So from there, I got into Sony. Had these media boxes, these black boxes. It can do 1080p, up to 100 megabytes port, not wireless. It had it could do 5.1 Dolby Digital surround sound capabilities. It had some access to the internet, and you can watch YouTube. But YouTube cut that off a couple of years after. So Sony came out with a smaller version of the box, but it had too much problems, kind of overheat. So those boxes could connect right to your PC, right, on the network, and you can, well, maybe you downloaded stuff that you're not supposed to, you could watch. So you basically could use a media center, play it through the Sony, and watch it on there. But Microsoft had a limitation to their files, and you couldn't really watch them. They were encrypted, so you had to use Microsoft Windows Media Center to watch the stuff, and you can't do it the other way. So I still have those files, by the way. I don't know why I kept them for, because you can't watch it without Microsoft Media Center, or you need you need the old Microsoft Media Player. There's the old one that they still around that you can use. Sometimes you can use VLA, I think it was called. It was another company, but a lot of that's obsolete today, because what happens now? You have streaming services. Maybe you have Amazon, and you're paying for Amazon, so you have Amazon Prime. Okay, so Amazon Prime, I actually turned on MGM Plus which was like $7.99 to watch From. I was only interested in From. That's the town where people driving, they get into a dead end, and when they drive around, they end up in this town, and they can't get out of this town no matter what. Somehow they're kind of locked in time, or in another dimension, or something's just weird. The way it's written, there's so many different things. So I wanted to see that, and the only way to see that other than that was to go on the underground. But you don't want to go on the underground, because they'd see the underground now before everybody was downloading, but they stopped all of that. And so now the underground started to say, we'll stream it. So they had to stream services. And the way they do it, they use cloud. But the problem with all that is it's very risky. And like I'm saying, if you do all that stuff, you would have to have a good PC. I'm not telling you how to do it, but I'm just telling you, I'm not giving you any information that, I was telling Gemini, you shouldn't have it where somebody can type a certain word to you and they can bring up those access to those sites. And he said, you're right. Yeah, so Google should block those sites and not have you bring them up. Because if they still bring them up, that's pretty bad, because you don't want to have access to them. When you go to those sites, that's the dark side of the web that nobody goes to. So there's places like that. When you go to the web on your computer, and you go to YouTube, those are the best places to go. Okay. You go to a business like big companies website, like that, or Amazon for shopping, or eBay, all that. That's legit stuff. But there's another side of the web. It's basically the same web. They say, oh, dark side is like a separate area. No, it's not a separate area. It's just you know how to get there. What code to type in to get there. But you don't want to go there with your phone or your regular, because there's a lot of malware and a lot of things around there. That's where all that antivirus stuff came out back in there. Everybody used to have been on Yahoo Chat. Is it Yahoo? Yeah, Yahoo Chat. Yahoo Chat. That was way before any Facebook or anything else. And the problem with Yahoo Chat, a lot of us didn't have firewalls. A lot of us didn't protect our PCs. And anybody in that chat can connect to you. And you see your mouse moving, the little arrow moving on its own, somebody's trying to hack into your system. And like I said, if you have anything today and you see that mouse moving on its own, you have to you just now unplug the PC. If it's connected to your router, or it's connected to your gateway, yeah, and you should have that gateway on the same connection for everything. Then you hit that red button and it shut down the whole network, and it shuts down all that access that can't get to you. Just turn it all off, get into the computer. You might have to change some things, but like that, because you don't want to get into those situations. And that's how it was back then. They can connect to your computer. So you see the mouse moving like that. And that's when I started to get into the firewall. I said, who the heck is moving that mouse? I'm not doing it. It's scary when that happens, but it can happen. And that's what the problem with that is, because back then everybody can get in that chat, no matter where you are in the world. And things were trading off back and forth, and people were talking too, because they had to, talking loud. Think of everybody in a meeting and have all the bad guys in there. That's how that was. I'm not saying everybody was bad, but that's how it was. Today they don't do it that way anymore like that. Well, you have different things like there's Zoom. Google has their own little thing too. Like Zoom called Dual, and you just get a couple of people in there and you just chat. You can do live chat. You can do all sorts of things. But that's how they do it today. Okay, but you need people to talk to. You just can't do it like that. I don't know if they're gonna have YouTube where if people say you're on there and you're doing a live stream, you're doing a live stream. The people are there. You can talk to them. You can talk to them on the computer, but it's a lot of work, and it's a lot of stuff. But that's how that was done. Okay, so that's how I give it a long history. So what happened to those media boxes? Well, it's like I said, you really don't need them anymore, because now you have a smart TV. They introduced a smart TV. The smart TV is just basically a computer. Yeah, some of them have other features. You can install a browser and type on your computer, but you have to be careful. Like I said, wireless is more convenient now than wired, because the wire, you have to run the wire all over the place. And wireless is more convenient because they don't have the extra wire hooked up to the TV. Some people were saying that the port in the back was 10100 or was it 1 gig. Well, you have to look up in the manual. If it's 1 gig, that's great. You have a gig going in, or more than a gig, 2.5. When you're buying a smart TV, you should really look into what it comes with. Is it Wi-Fi 4? That's 300 megabytes. Wi-Fi 5 is 866 megabytes. Okay, you're not really gonna get that, but that's what they claim if you can. And AX is 1.2. If you can get 1.2 in your AX, that's pretty good. And then BE, that's Wi-Fi 7, 6 gigahertz band. Yeah. I got 2 gig on my phone down, but I didn't go through the traditional speed test. I used fast on the phone. I was shocked. I said, wow, 2 gig. Wow, that's pretty good. Well, I am paying for 2 gig down and 2 gig up. It's a little bit more, but that's about it. That's not bad. Yeah. That's Wi-Fi 7 getting that speed, But man, that's it. I need more speed because I do a lot of uploading. You don't want to wait. Upload speeds can take really a long time, and that's what I was trying to explain to you in the other video before this. There is the YouTube one. They have the Studio app. You got to get that, and if you're doing full videos, that's what you use. And if you're doing the shorts, then you use the other YouTube app, the regular player app. That's for shorts. I don't know why they did that, but before everything was coming out to one, but I guess they ran into snags. Or maybe it could be for live stream. I don't know, maybe that's how live stream is done. I haven't played around with live stream. It's too much doing fools. But you see where we went. So oh yeah, I saw a deal on Prime. I needed stars to watch Outlander, so I switched around. So you get stars and MGM Plus. It was cheaper. It said it was $11.99. So I said, I jumped on it. You save almost $6 a year. I'm not gonna have it too long because I only sign up to watch From, and From is gonna end in June, sometime in June. Outlander is finished I have to watch some parts of it because I couldn't figure out. I used to watch it. That's been out since 2024. That's time travel. So if you're into time travel, I know it's a love story, but it's time travel. It's about a nurse, an RN from the 40s, 1940s, goes back to the 1700s, which is pretty neat. And how she does it's pretty neat. I don't want to give it away. So that's what that's about, and that's why so many people watch it. There was a movie, Outlander, about a battle in space, and they picked up this creature, and the ship crashed on a planet. It was Earth, by the way, and it's done. That's different than the than the series Outlander. It's the movie, and then there's the Outlander itself, and that's been running since 2014. It ends in 2026. That's a long time. Been running such a long time. People wanted to keep going. Yeah, well, they can go to what 1700s into 1800s. They can keep going. You know, but that's up to them. But I just want to get that straightened. So now, yeah. So when I'm finished, I just get rid of the Surface, cancel it, and don't keep it, because I already have. Well, we have Prime TV with no ads. Oh yeah. By the way, so you're saying, gee, what about ads? Nothing pops up because I already have no ads. Because you're getting it through Prime. If you get it outside Prime, then you run into other things. I don't know if it's cheaper that way than going outside. Like for instance, I got Paramount Plus with no ads, and it's not just no ads. You're getting 4K, you're getting Dolby Vision, you getting better sound, Atmos sound. If you got a setup the TV, the smart TV, and that can pick up Atmos sound. It has 8-inch subwoofer. I think it's is it 8? I think it's 8 or 6-inch, but it looks bigger. Ultra bass speaker in there, and you got 2 speakers. So you got Dolby Atmos sound. I wish it was louder, but it's not. It's only 50 watts, and 50 watts is not a lot. And newer TVs have dual subs and 10 speakers. So, but you got to pay for that. The TV is like 100-inch, not the 98-inch. 100 and up would have that. Okay. Yeah, make sure it has Wi-Fi 6. Okay. Don't get Wi-Fi 5. You'll have little problems. You might not even notice it, but you might have some problems because there's a lot of media streaming. Yeah. So in this video, you'll learn a lot. So I have Paramount Plus. I watch Marshall's. I watch a couple of programs I like. And you watch the whole Star Trek stuff is on there. You can watch that. You can watch whatever on CBS because it's part of CBS. Disney and Hulu. Hulu has all ABC access and everything that they have. So you get a lot of stuff for that. No ads there either. Apple TV. Apple TV have that. Plus, get that through T-Mobile. Gotta pay $3.99. There's no ads. I don't know about that $3.99. I guess they raised the price. That's not bad though. You get to see a lot of stuff there. So it's that, Disney. What else am I missing? Netflix. Well, Netflix through T-Mobile, that's free. There's ads, and then before there was no ads. I don't know. And ads start coming. I don't watch it that much because a lot of ads. To get rid of all that ads, you're looking at $26.99 per month plus taxes and fees. You might be running like $32 a month. That's a lot of money to have no ads. But that's if you watch a lot of that. And you might find you're not watching a lot. So it's a lot. Then you got YouTube Premium. They raised that, but YouTube Premium, you're helping the channels that are YPP. You're helping them because when you watch it, you don't see no ads, but they get a part of what you watch. So you watch the whole thing through, they get that. So that's what so don't feel, well, I didn't watch the whole ad. They'll get it. If you watch the whole ad, I don't know how, if to watch the whole ad on this part of it. So if you want to help those channels you watch, that's what Premium does. So it'll say Premium in their studio, and that stuff. So say, and then they'll know how much in Premium. But anyway, yeah. Well, there's a lot of streaming services, so it's up to you. There's some I like to have. I like to have Bird TV, but and the extra expense. That's all. You can have everything, and there's packages they have. Well, you want to check on Prime and see. I'm not promoting them, but sometimes it pops up on the screen. So hey, we can cut you a deal. Well, that's good. But so you understand now how all this works with Comcast and what's going on. So they still have internet, and they give you Wi-Fi. They have to compete. AT&T is getting very popular with the fiber, the 1 gig up and 1 gig up. You might get a little bit more if you have your computer tweaked. You're not hacking. You're just able to configure your computer to run full power. Okay. Some people say, "Gee, that's a lot of power to run." Well, yeah, you have to get a cooling fan. If you're gonna do that. For your laptop, and if the laptop is hot, then you want to cool it down. Otherwise, it's not gonna last long. It's gonna eventually fail. And sometimes I don't know how these laptops are today, if they're using tape or they're using the silver stuff. It's a silver oxide to keep the CPU cool. Now, eventually that will dry out, and when it dries out, you'll notice on the PC or the laptop it gets really really hot, and the temperatures don't go. That means you'd have to go in there, clean it off, and put new oxide on it, and or the tape. They have tape now to cool the piece, to cool the CPU, if you can get to all that. Yeah. So what's happened now? What's happening now? So you got your smart TV and you're streaming off of that, or you might have one of those boxes, either Google TV or On TV from Walmart or Roku, right? And I think Nvidia has some stuff too. You might have some Chinese knockoff, and you're watching it that way, and that's about it. That's how you watch stuff today. You can watch movies. Bigger your TV, 85-inch. I just start with that. You could go higher. Yeah, but you have to pay a higher price. And the bigger the TV, it says, I'm just waiting for them to come out with transparency. They got the transparent. There's a Chinese company on Facebook. They dropped the transparent glass. It's not glass. It's epoxy plastic. It's a Pomeroy. It's a carbon Pomeroy, transparent acrylic Pomeroy. So they take a hammer and they smash it. Don't break. They drop it from a tall building. It don't break. They can bend it. They can flex it. Okay, get that on the TV. Why? What's taking so long? Yeah. No scratch. You can't scratch it either. So why don't you use it on TV? That's what That's what I'm saying. No, they don't. They want to sell these bezels. So I did a project for HP. I can say that. I did a project. I was a team lead, and the client had a 1,000-inch TV. So it was a wraparound, but they were modules. And that's what the Chinese company online is doing. They're trying to sell those modules to the public. They're expensive. Because with those modules, you can make a big TV. Yeah, they connect, they snap together. Or horizontally. I videotaped all that stuff. So nobody believes. So show the recording does help with time. Oh, it's 5:23. Okay. Well, hey, if you learned a lot in this, all I ask in return, hit that subscribe button. Trying to get up to 1,000. We're getting there. And thank you, all of you who have made it so far. We have membership too. If you want to be a member, there's member videos offered. So you get that too. There's little perks. So then other people say, hey, he's a member, in the comments. Well, you can comment to the videos for each month. Okay? Like this month, you can comment to the video. Okay. I'll let you know what else is happening. Okay? All right. Gotta go. Enjoy your day.